right, fire it up. Just do your thing here, bud. Nobody's any better at this than you are.
That's fine. Take a deep breath.
Give him hell at the end. Good luck to you.
Fighting like hell like we do every week. You are the best here.
Brett, be affirmative.
You told me to get on.
Info. Ready. Ready. Go slow. Green, green, green. Lock it down, lock it down. 14.
I'm destroyed, and I just got drove through like 6 times on the 14. What the f is he thinking? That is the stupidest thing I've seen in my career. Literally.
Everything you described is accurate. Haven't even finished the second stage yet. Half the field's wrecked.
Hell yeah.
11 got it. Proud of you there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work.
Keep putting yourself in position. We'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
Therefore, great job, guys.
And welcome back to another week of Racing in the Draft. My name is Mark, and we'll be looking at Darlington this week. But before we get to that, it has been a quite exciting week in the world of NASCAR with the rollout of the next-gen cars. As you can see on the screen, we've got the new Camaro, Camry, and Mustang. Let's kind of take a look real quick at each one of those because it has been a very exciting week with lots of changes to these cars. Anything from a fifth gear being added and sequential gears to single lug nuts, which will speed up pit stops, to the front ends to where they can't add or take away tape. All sorts of really cool things. Composite body that will withstand some more beating and banging, which should make the racing more exciting. It's going to be really neat to see these cars on the track in Daytona and beyond starting of 2022. So really exciting news coming out of NASCAR. Lots of technology to these cars. We're going to have much more in-car footage and telemetry that the race fans can really kind of see what's going on as the race goes on, which will probably end up giving us much more data and facts to put towards putting our lineups together for DraftKings. Here is the ZL1 Chevy Camaro. I think it's a great looking car. I think all three of them are great looking cars. I keep going back and forth on which one's my favorite. I think the Camry seems to be kind of the blandest of the three, but that doesn't mean it's not going to race really well. It is still the only four-door sedan, even though these cars don't have doors, but it's the only one that's still modeled after a four-door sedan. The Camaro is a two-door, and the Mustang being a two-door. But here's the Mustang, and there's the Camry. So yeah, great looking cars, very exciting week in NASCAR, and we roll right into from brand new cars that'll be hitting the track next year to Darlington for Throwback Weekend this weekend. Quite exciting. It's always kind of neat to see what these guys come up with in the way of their cars and who they decide to make shout outs to. Some people are making shout outs to when they first started racing, to when their parents were racing, to famous race car drivers who have passed on. Lots of neat cars and designs on the cars this weekend. So along with racing at Darlington always being exciting and being one of the oldest tracks on the circuit, it's going to be exciting to kind of see all the different color schemes that they come up with. Usually this is done at the Southern 500, which is in the fall, but considering that's now inside the Chase, they decided to move it to this weekend, so that way they could give sponsors the full coverage that they pay for when they go to Darlington for the Southern 500 in the fall and inside the Chase. So with that being said, last weekend's race at Kansas was interesting. And kind of had a feeling it was going to be, especially when it came to DraftKings and the points and pricing that they had come up with. But victorious on his birthday, Mr. Kyle Busch, as you can see from our cartoon this week from Comics by Bruno. Shout out to him. He always comes up with really clever and fun cartoons from the prior week's race. We'll take a look at the optimal lineup in a minute, but as you can see kind of at the top, Kyle Larson pushing Ryan Blaney did not work out very well. Kevin Harvick, even having not so great equipment, still ended up finishing second in that Stewart Haas car. And Christopher Bell deciding he was going to take out 2 JTG cars and 1 caution. So I'm sure they're probably not real happy with Mr. Christopher Bell this week. And the one thing that everybody's talking about is should have NASCAR or should not have NASCAR done what they did when it came to the tire that sat in the grass until everybody finished their green flag pit stops, which actually ended up being about 25 laps. I think they should have thrown it as soon as the tire had gotten there. If it's always been something you would throw a caution for, I think you throw it at that point. I also see their point in waiting till everybody got through with their green flag pit stops, but it's part of the strategy, and I don't want to go as far as saying they were manipulating the race and what they were looking for as a result, because I mean at that point there were still 30-35 laps left in the race, and there's still plenty of time for things to happen, which they ended up happening. Ended up doing fairly well for the week. Hopefully you did also. I didn't get a chance to watch it live per se. I got to watch the final stage live, but I was coming back from a baseball tournament out of town, which ended up being a lot of fun for the kiddo and myself. But let's kind of get into the optimal lineups from last week. Even though Kyle Larson did not end up finishing first, he was our complete dominator last weekend. 132 laps led, 67 fast laps, and he had a lot of PD upside, which was expected from 32nd to 19th. Absolutely dominating the field with 100.15 points on the week. Kyle Busch, our winner, and his 18th straight season with a win, leading 20 laps and 22 fast laps, gave him the second highest points for last weekend at 67.9. And then we kind of got into a little bit of PD upside. Well, Brad Keselowski did not, but he was able to lead most of the first stage, gaining 72 lead laps and 18 fast laps and finishing third for the race. Then we had 3 points differential upsides, and a little bit of, they weren't, you really can't call them dominators, but they ended up getting some points due to fast laps and lead laps. Still at the top of the heap for so far for the year, Martin Truex and Denny Hamlin leading the way. And just now looking at this, William Byron has only been in 2 optimal lineups, but William Byron leads the pack so far with 9 top 10s out of 11 races so far this year. William Byron has been doing extremely well, and prayers go out to him and his family and his mom, who just found out this week that she has cancer and will be fighting that, and so we'll be praying for William Byron and his family. But let's get into this weekend's race at Darlington. The Goodyear 400 at Darlington is a steep bank, high tire wear, very similar to what we would see at Miami, Atlanta, a little bit at Las Vegas, but this is really the king of high tire wear. Whoops, Sorry about that. Track length is 1.366 miles, 25-degree banking and turns 1 and 2, and 23 degrees banking and 3 and 4. Race length is 293 laps, which equates to about 400 miles. Dominator points this week of 186.9, laps led 73.25, and fast laps 131.85 for this egg-shaped oval. Should be a very exciting race. High tire wear here is mostly because of the area of the country and South Carolina not being too far off of the coast. I mean, it's still about 50-60 miles, but it's still very sandy, very hot. Really, over the course of many years, the track bakes in the sun, and there is some sand and grit in the dirt in the area, which really has worn the track surface down, which just grates on those tires. All right, let's get in and look at the drivers for this week. All right, we start off the weekend with Kyle Larson, Mr. Dominator so far for a couple of different tracks, priced at $11,400, number 1 in the ranking, PD upside ranking of 2, and Dominator of 4, starting 14th this weekend. He did miss all 3 races last year at Darlington due to his suspension, but he did finish in the top 5 in 2019 and 2018 race here at Darlington. 108.4 DraftKings average, 2.5 average finish. As we see, he did not race in the 3 races last year, but has a total of 3 top 5s out of 6 total starts. And being in Hendrick cars this year compared to Chip Ganassi equipment from when he raced here prior, I expect Kyle Larson to get to the front very quickly by probably the competition caution, if not right after the competition caution, and we may see Kyle just stink up the show this weekend. I hope that's not the case. I mean, as you can see, I'm a Kyle Larson fan, but that's not the reason he's first on the ranking. He just is really good at running inches off the wall, and that's what it takes to run super well at Darlington. Next in line, Joey Logano at $11,100. I don't know why they priced him this high. I don't like his pricing this week here. I've got him 9th on the power rankings. He comes in 9th on the Dominator side. I'm not sure I'll have a whole lot of Joey Logano this weekend, starting 12th. There's not a whole lot of PD upside there. His average finish is 8.6, 37.7 DraftKings average. He does have 2 top 5s in the last 5 starts, 3 top 10s, and 5 top 20s. So he does finish in the top 20. I just don't think he's going to be in contention to lead laps and fast laps. I think he'll end up finishing well. He'll probably finish between 8th and 15th, but I don't think he's going to be somebody that we should keep an eye on for dominating. And with that price tag, he needs to dominate, or he needs to have a place differential of like 20 spots. But he has started here 14 times and has 4 top 5s. Next in line, Denny Hamlin at $10,600, starting 7th, coming in at 4 on the power ranking and 3 on the Dominator side. He does have 1 win, which came last year, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and 4 top 20s in the last 5 starts, a 36.0 DraftKings average, and 11.6 average finish. He finished 13th last in the fall race, and he has a total of 3 wins, 9 top 5s out of 17 starts at Darlington. Next in line, Martin Truex Jr., $10,300, will be starting 4th. He does come in at a 3 on the power index and 3rd on the Dominator scale. I like Martin a lot. I don't like the fact that this race is being run during the day for Martin. I like it being run during the day. It's supposed to be 90 degrees. It's going to be hot. It's going to be slick. It's going to be cars that run really close to the wall as we kind of get into this, which that would include Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick and a few others. But starting fourth, I'm not putting a whole lot of weight behind Martin Truex this weekend, even though he does come in at third on the power rankings. I mean, the power rankings are all a bunch of algorithms taking into account similar track types, this track, and current season running positions. So all that coming in, the algorithms kind of say he's third on the power rankings. He's starting fourth. He may finish in fourth, which will give him a decent amount of points. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to put him in the optimal lineup. But in the last 5 races here, he has 0 top 5s, 2 top 10s, 4 top 20s, 61.8 DraftKings average, mostly because he did have 2 of those 5 races where he ended up starting from the rear of the field. 12.8 average finish, finished 22nd here in the fall. He does have 1 win, 2 top 5s out of his 17 starts. I don't know how much I'm going to have of Truex. Brad Keselowski, 10,000 starting from the pole this weekend because he ended up finishing third last weekend at Kansas and first at Talladega. He has been pretty dominant over the last 2 weeks. That doesn't mean he's going to do that this weekend. For some reason, Penske does well, but not dominant here at Darlington. Brad has done well in the past. First place always starting first always scares me. You have no place to go but down. It's kind of like taking the 37th, 38th, 39th place driver. They have no place to go but up. Now, most of the time they only go 2 or 3 spots up at the most, but if you happen to watch the truck race from this evening, that was a mess. They tore up a lot of trucks tonight. Actually ended up finishing fairly well in that DraftKings, but it was quite interesting to watch. They tore as many cars up in that race as you would see at super speedways. But Brad comes in 6th on the power ranking, 5th on the Dominator side, has 1 win here in the last 5, 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and 5 top 20s, a 45.6 DraftKings average, 6.8 average finish. He finished 11th here in the fall race, and as we said, he does have 1 win, 5 top 5s, and has started here 14 times. Next grouping, I always have a typo, even though I go back and look at this. That's supposed to be 9,800 to 9,000, whichever. Kyle Busch, your winner from last weekend, $9,800, starting third. Kyle does like this track, and the track actually performs typically fairly well for Kyle. Starting third kind of worries me a little bit, but Kyle has been performing better. I think last weekend it helped that he ran the Truck Series the day before running the Cup race. So we'll see what that equates to. We'll see if the curse of not having practice is still biting Kyle, or if he is able to stay up front and lead laps. 6th on the power ranking, 5th on the Dominator. No wins in the last 5 races here. 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, and 4 top 20s. A 54.3 DraftKings average and a 9th place average finish. He finished 7th here in the fall. He does have 1 win out of his 18 starts here with 5 top 5s. Next in line, Kevin Harvick, 9,600. He was a 2-time winner here last year. Coming in at 2nd on the power ranking and 1 on the Dominator, starting 2nd. I expect him to get past Brad and probably lead at least for a while in the first stage. He may come back down to earth a little bit, just because I still think Stewart-Haas has something wrong with whatever they're doing to their cars. Kevin's a champion and can battle back and has battled back almost every week to have good finishes with, in my opinion, subpar equipment. But he does have those 2 wins, 2 top 5s, 5 top 10s, and 5 top 20s. And the last 5 starts here with a 73.0 DraftKings average. If Kyle Larson wasn't running here, he would be the top dog for this weekend. 2.6 average finish. He finished first here last fall. 3 wins total here. 11 top 5s out of his 26 starts. Alex Bowman, 9,400, starting 19th. Does have a decent amount of PD upside this week. 11th on the power ranking. PD of place differential 4. Has 0 wins in his last 5. Actually 0 wins total here. 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, and 4 top 20s. A 37.0 DraftKings average and a 13.4 average finish. Alex will be somebody that we probably should look at for PD upside. I'm not sure he gets many Dominator points this weekend, which may be something that you might want to kind of let the gas off with Alex Bowman this week. He did finish 6th here in the fall race. No wins, 1 top 5 total out of his 7 starts. Next in line, Chase Elliott, 9,200, starting 6th, coming in at 10th on the power ranking and 7th on the Dominator. He has led here quite a bit last year in the 3 races, but it always ended up having some type of trouble, which has hurt his DraftKings average for this track. But does have 2 top 10s, 4 top 20s for a 38.6 DraftKings average, 17.2 average finish. He finished 20th here in the fall. No wins, 2 top 5s out of his 8 total starts. Chase Elliott might be somebody we can look at. At some point this year, he and Kevin will end up breaking, and Denny will end up breaking out of their slump, or winning slump, because they're not driving bad, but they're winning slump and get wins and Dominators. When that's going to be, it's hard to say. So I'll have a little bit of Chase, but I won't have a tremendous amount. Next in line, Ryan Blaney, part of the Penske organization, which we've already talked about. Kind of struggles here at Darlington. $9,000 for Mr. Blaney, starting 16th. There is a decent amount of PD upside potential here, but as you can see from his record, he has 0 top 5s, 0 top 10s, and only 3 top 20s in the last 5 starts here. 13.8 DraftKings average, which so far is the lowest we've seen out of the top 10 that we've discussed. 17.8 average finish, which is also worst of the bunch. Finished 24th here in the fall. No wins, no top 5s out of all of his 8 starts. I will be staying away from Mr. Blaney. Alright, our next grouping between 8,000 and 8,800, starting off with Mr. William Byron. Mr. Consistency so far this year, $8,800. Starting in the 5th position, 12th on the power rankings, Dominator potential of an 8, and a fill-in spot of 3. I like him as a great fill-in if you've got the extra salary. I think he is somebody who potentially could end up finishing well, at least in the top 10, maybe potentially even the top 5. He's been running extremely well and consistent this year. Has, in the last 5 races, 1 top 5, 1 top 10, and 2 top 20s with an average, DraftKings average of 13.7 and a 21.6 average finish. Don't let those finishes scare you off completely of William Byron. Hendrick Motorsports always typically runs fairly well here, and I think William Byron's really coming into his own this year. I will end up having some exposure to William. Finished 5th here in the fall race. Once again, no wins, 1 top 10, and 5 total starts. Next in line, Christopher Bell, 8600, starting 21st. We've got decent PD upside here, even though he does not make the PD chart for us because he has not typically run well here. But this year he is in Joe Gibbs equipment, so I expect to probably have a better finish for Mr. Bell. No wins, no top 5s, no top 10s, and 1 top 20, a 21.1 DraftKings average, 23.0 average finish. He did finish here 34th in the fall in lesser equipment. His total 3 starts. Kurt Busch, 8,400. Probably one of my middle of the pack favorite drivers. Starting 17th, he's going to have some PD upside here. He always typically runs very well at Darlington. He does have, in the last 5 starts, 1 top 5, 4 top 10s, and 5 top 20s. I've got him 8th on the power ranking and a PD potential of 3rd. 7.8 average finish, starting 17th. That's a great 10 spots right there that he should gain in this race. He potentially even could have some fast laps and potentially could end up leading at some point on Sunday's race. He finished 8th here in the fall. He does not have a win here yet, but does have 11 top 10s out of his 26 total starts. Eric Jones. Oops, I missed the S on Eric Jones. Well, so much for proofreading. Never said I was good at that. I'm good at numbers, though. 8,200, starting 26th. Unbelievable potential PD upside with Eric. He comes in 5th on the power ranking. He has a win here in the last 5 starts. 1 top 5, 3 top 10s, 5 top 20s, a 63.6 DraftKings average, a 5.2 average finish. Did finish 16th here in the fall and has 6 top 10s out of his 6 starts. So I really expect Eric Jones to potentially have another good run. If you happen to catch the NASCAR iRacing Pro Invitational on Wednesday, Eric Jones ended up winning that also. Not sure that equates a whole lot to this because they were also racing the next gen car in that series, which actually was kind of cool to see. And I really like the body styles. They're low to the ground. They just look more like sports cars than stock cars, even though they look like their actual street counterpart, except for the Camry, because the Camry's got 4 doors. Why they didn't go with the Supra? And I mean, I get it because they've got the Tundra, they've got the Supra in the Xfinity series, and then they have the Camry in this series. But 4-door sedans are gone at this point. I don't know. Not my choice, but it is what it is. Next in line, Eric Almirola at $8,000, running the Mark Martin Winn-Dixie car with the flames. I really like the look on that car. And they can't see it because I'm in the way. It's right there. Right there. Yeah, there. Oh well. 15th on the power ranking, PD potential upside of 6. Starting 27th, he is in Stewart-Haas equipment this year. Last year, that meant a whole lot. This year, actually, is a hindrance. So, 0 top 5s, 2 top 10s, and 5 top 20s. A 30.9 DraftKings average, 11.8 average finish. Finished 9th here in the fall, and 2 top 10s out of his total 11 starts here. And I'll have a little bit of Eric, but not a whole lot. Mostly just because he does have potential for some PD upside. Matty Benedetto. Why I have such a hard time with that? But regardless, 7,800. Coming in at 23rd on the power ranking and a potential 8th on the fill-in spot. No top 5s, 2 top 10s, and 3 top 20s, an 18.0 DraftKings average, and an 18th place average finish. He has raced here 8 times and only has 2 top 10s and finished 21st in the fall. He's been running better lately. Not sure that's enough for me to put him into the into the potential optimal lineup. In fact, it's not, because he's 23rd on the power ranking. Next in line, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., $7,600, starting 28th. Decent amount of PD upside here. 19th on the power ranking and 8th on the PD potential, meaning he doesn't really run well here at Darlington. In fact, he does run fairly well at Darlington, other than the fact he's very aggressive, and this track does not like aggressive driving. If you happen to check the truck race from tonight, it really doesn't like it. I did a lot of those drivers. But 0 top 5, 0 top 10s, 2 top 20s in his last 5 starts here. 21.6 DraftKings average and a 25.8 average finish. Austin Dillon, 7,500, starting 9th. Actually does run fairly well here at Darlington. Might be somebody to keep an eye out on. Not the biggest fan of his starting spot. No PD upside here, but he will be a good fill-in driver for that middle of the pack. 17th on the power ranking, 4 on the fill-in spot. 1 top 5, 2 top 10s, and 5 top 20s in his last 5 starts. 32.3 DraftKings average, 11.8 average finish. He finished second here in the fall, and has a total of 3 top 10s out of his 9 starts. It's going to be a great middle-of-the-road driver to take. Could potentially end up making the optimal lineup. Somebody to keep an eye on and potentially put into some or a lot of your DraftKings. Tyler Reddick, 7,400. This guy loves this type of track. He ran extremely well at Miami. And he's actually been running really well so far this year. In fact, let me kind of take a look. Where's Tyler? Tyler's here. Tyler so far for the year has 5 top 10s out of 10 total starts. Or 11 total starts. That's really good. He is in the same camp. He's in the Richard Childress camp along with Austin Dillon. They really have been doing much better in the last 18 months than they had the previous 3 years. I'd like Tyler a lot for this race. Starting 10th, I think he'll easily hold 10th, if not do better. He's coming in 14th on the power ranking. I think he probably deserves better than that. He is the number 1 fill-in guy. He doesn't have a win here yet, but does have 1 top 10 and 2 top 20s out of his 3 total starts. 40.0 DraftKings average and a 14.3 average finish. And most of the time, those 14.3 average finishes, he was starting 30, 31, 32, and worked his way through the field. He finished 23rd here in the fall race. Next in line, we have Ryan Newman, 7,200. Somebody who just is super consistent at this track and has almost more experience than anybody else at this track with 24 total starts. Coming in 16th on the power ranking. He'll probably end up finishing 5 to 8 spots better than what he's currently showing. He has an average finish in his last 5 of 17.2, 27.4 DraftKings average, and 4 top 20s in his last 5 starts. He finished up here 15th in the fall race. 7 total top 10s out of his 24 starts. Alright, our next set of pricing at between $6,300 and $7,100. Cole Custer coming in at $7,100, starting 24th. And our first, I'm going to stay really far away from this, 27th on the power ranking, even though he does have a big shout out to moms on his car this weekend. Not really a throwback weekend, but has a lot of old pictures of moms. Kind of sweet. Not going to win you a race. Not probably going to do well in this race. Driving Stewart Haas equipment and has just really struggled so far this year. 3 total starts here at Darlington, 12.8 DraftKings average, only 1 top 20. 21.7th average finish. Even though starting 24th, he potentially could have some PD upside, but I think he's going to finish about where he starts, unless something drastically weird happens in this race. He finished 12th here in the fall race. No wins and only the one top 20. Next in line, Bubba Wallace, $7,000. Has 5 total starts here. Will be starting 23rd on Sunday for the Goodyear 400. 20th on the power ranking. Does only have one top 20. A 27.0 DraftKings average. 22.0 average finish. Finished 38th here in the fall. And only has that one top 20. Don't love Bubba Wallace for this track. Don't think he's going to be awful. I think he'll end up probably finishing in the middle to high teens. There will be a little bit of PD upside, but not enough for me to be like, ooh, we got to go with him. Next in line, Chase Briscoe, 6,800. 22nd on the starting grid. 21st on the power ranking. Has a fill-in spot of 7th, mostly because of his pricing and his finishing positions in the Xfinity Series, because he has no Cup experience here. So does the Xfinity numbers equate to how well he may do in the Cup car? No, not really, other than he does understand and does have experience at Darlington. This will be his first Cup start, but he does have 3 top 20s, and he has won once in the Xfinity car out of those 3 starts. Next in line, Daniel Suarez. I don't like his starting position. I don't mind taking Daniel for this race. His equipment he's been racing this equipment extremely well. His crew chief and crew have done great jobs for him this year. I expect him to probably have a better finish than his average of 23.4. I don't know if it's going to get us any PD upside. I think he's going to finish close to where he started if all things kind of work out. But he does have one top 20, an 18.6 DraftKings average, 23.4 average finish. Remember, 3 of those 6 starts last year were in less equipment. The 3 other prior starts in 2019 and 2018 were in Joe Gibbs equipment, where he did finish a little bit better. He finished 25th here in the fall, no wins, and one top 20. If he were starting 25th, I think I would really like Suarez, but starting 15th, it just makes me really nervous. But he always seems to pull something out of his magic hat every weekend. So hopefully that streak continues. I like watching Daniel. I think he's a good driver. Chris Buescher, coming in at 6,300, is starting 11th. And if we remember early in the Miami race, which is probably the best track to compare this to, he actually got up early and ended up leading laps until nightfall. And when the sun set, his car went away from him. This race, if everything goes as planned, will be run during the day. It's going to be hot. It's going to be slick. I think Chris Buescher could end up doing something similar this weekend. And since the sun's going to stay out the entire time, could potentially be somebody to take a look at this weekend. Decent price tag. Starting 11th, I wish he was starting a little bit further back, but it's okay. 18th on the power ranking, fill-in spot of 5th. Does have only one top 20 here, but something, I don't know if it's just the equipment, the packages, or if his team has just stepped up. Chris has done much better this year. 23.4 DraftKings average, 21.2 average finish in his last 5 starts, and finished 26th here in the fall race, and has 4 top 20s out of his 7 total starts. Next in line, Ross Chastain at 6,300. One of my next drivers, who is somebody I will be going away from, mostly because of his starting spot. No top 20s, no top 10s, no top 5s, because you got to have one of those to have a top 20. 11.6 DraftKings average, 28.3 average finish when you're starting 18th. It doesn't bode well. Finished 29th here in the fall race and has 3 total starts in the Cup car. Michael McDowell, 6,100, just on the outside of the top 25 on the power ranking, coming in at 26, starting 13th with an average finish of 22.8. I think I'll be staying away from Mr. McDowell this weekend. 20.2 DraftKings average with 3 top 20s in his last 5. Finished 16th here last fall. Next in line, Ryan Preece, 5,900, 25th on the power ranking, just on the cusp. He's going to be somebody that, if we need a little bit of salary relief, is somebody that we could probably go to, because his average finish here is 24.5, so there is some potential of some PD upside, and if a couple of the guys up front end up wrecking or having issues, Ryan could end up having an okay to decent weekend. Not somebody I'm going to rely a whole lot on. He could be a good fill-in driver or bottom of the price range, some salary relief. 24.6 DraftKings average out of his last 4 starts, and a 24.5 average finish. He did finish 17th in the fall and has 2 top 20s. Next in line, Corey LaJoie. I wish he would run well this weekend, because I really do like his paint scheme, because it's literally identical to the Alan Kulwicki paint scheme when Alan Kulwicki was with us. So maybe there'll be a little bit of magic for Corey this weekend, but his stats here at Darlington are abysmal. Even starting 30th, even having potential PD upside, no, not going to take any of them. 31 at 31.0 average finish, 7.6 DraftKings average, no wins, no top 20s. Justin Haley next in line, 5,500. No cup starts here, so that gives him a 34th on the power ranking. Starting 31st, gonna probably finish maybe in that same spot. 3 Xfinity starts, 3 top 20s, but his best is 10th. So even in the Xfinity cars, he was running middle pack. Starting 31st, no, I'm gonna stay away. Next in line, most of these guys from here on down, probably going to stay away from. Anthony Alfredo ran actually really, really well last weekend at Kansas. I'm quite happy to see. In fact, let's take a look. Where did Mr. Alfredo end up finishing? Started 22nd, and I was like, no way, I'm not touching him. He's going to kill us on PD. Ended up finishing 23rd. So didn't really cost anything to anybody. Now, he didn't make the optimal lineup with an 18.45 DraftKings, but he did much better than I thought he was going to for not having any starts at Kansas. He has started twice here in the Xfinity Series with 1 top 20. Yeah, I still can't try to sell you on Anthony Alfredo. I mean, only in the certain instances where you're just like, oh my god, I've got to start somebody. I've got to save some money somewhere. Maybe go with some Alfredo. But I think there is maybe one more person out of this group that we can take a look at. But James Davidson next in line, starting 36. You would think he's got some PD upside until you look at his average finish of 39.0. 37th on the power ranking. Nope, not going to take any of him. Josh Bilicki, kind of the same thing. 5,000 on the pricing, 31st on the power index, has a 33-point average finish. Okay, 33 average finish, and starting 37th? Maybe. No, he won't make the optimal lineup. Next in line, J.J. Yaley at 4,800. Out of all these guys in the very, very back of the field that I could potentially see us getting any points, and I still don't think it's optimal lineup. It may put you into a point where you're going to win a little bit, but not the optimal lineup. Starting Starting 34th, 29.8 average finish, which is, good 5 spots, 4.2 spots average finish difference. 16.7 average. DraftKings average does have one top 20, finished 30th here last fall. And as we see, he's got 13 starts here, so he understands Darlington and knows Darlington. The big question is going to be, how well does his equipment do? And does his owner actually let him race? Next in line, BJ McLeod at 4,700, starting 32nd. 39th place average finish. Yeah, nope. Staying away from BJ. Cody Ware at 4,600, starting 33rd. He did race here in 2017 and finished 37th. That doesn't help us out at all. Does have one Xfinity start here and finished 24th. Yep, not going to go there either. Next to the line, Quinn Hoff at 4,500, even though I really do like his paint scheme with the little puppy dogs. Starting 35th. Just because you got cute dogs doesn't mean you're going to run well. And he typically doesn't. With a 31.3 average finish, 11.3 DraftKings average. Alright, let's take a look at our Dominators. Kevin Harvick leading the pack in Dominators with Martin Truex, Denny Hamlin. Kyle Larson would make the top of the Dominator list and probably will end up being our biggest Dominator for the weekend if everything works out and he doesn't get into an accident on somebody else's doing, working his way from 14th. As you can see, he is somebody that we should take a look at for PD upside and Dominator. When you've got these two combinations, it really leads to typically high scoring, as we saw last weekend, even though he didn't win the race. Brad Kay, Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, William Byron, and Joe Logano are all potential Dominators, but realistically, it's going to come from those top 4 guys: Harvick, Truex, Hamlin, and Larson. Place differentials, Eric Jones starting 26 will give us our best option for getting a decent amount of PD upside. He runs well here. He likes the track, understands the high tire wear. Same thing with Kyle Larson, starting 14th. Kurt Busch, one that absolutely just loves racing here at this track. And rounding out the rest of the group for PD upside, Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, Eric Almirola, Ryan Newman, and Mr. Stenhouse Jr. Our fill-ins, Tyler Reddick, absolutely first on that grid. I would almost put him in the Dominator spot, even though he just typically has not gotten quite there with the equipment that he's got. Eric Jones, William Byron, Austin Dillon, Chris Buescher, Christopher Bell are all going to be decent plays and priced typically in the middle of that pack that we will need to fill in the rest. Ryan Preece might be our lowest priced owned driver, but we're going to have to play with some numbers. DraftKings did a pretty good job of not overweighting place differential this week, but you know, when you've got William Byron looking as a potential slight Dominator, starting 3rd, being a great fill in the rest of your bracket, doesn't give us any PD upside, but good possibility. And Eric Jones coming in on both the place differential and the fill in spot is somebody that I will probably be overweight on the field on. The last 3 races, all happening last year because of COVID, are drastically different. And I wanted to kind of point this out. So we had one race, the fall race, I'm pretty sure it was 367 laps, and our Wednesday night race that they raced, the second race after coming out of the pandemic, shutdown, lockdown, whatever we call it, they ended up having back-to-back races at Darlington, and that was only 208 laps, and the Sunday race prior to that was 293 laps, which is what we're expecting this weekend. So as we can kind of see, looking down at the very bottom one, if you can see it, Dominator, we are looking for 2 Dominators. Once we get to 367 laps, same thing. We're looking at 2 Dominators, and with only 208 laps, we really only had 1 Dominator. I think this weekend we're looking for 2. I don't think that you can fit 3 into your lineup. But as you can see, PD Upside was the name of the game once you got out of the Dominators. With Kurt Busch making up 19 spots, Tyler Reddick making up 22 spots, Joe Nemechek making up 25 spots, Ty Dillon making up 14 spots. So PD Upside, PD Upside, PD Upside will be as important as finding our 2 Dominators for this weekend. And that's all I've got for everyone this weekend. Make sure you do share, like, smash, rub, hit that like button. It really does help out the algorithms and lets other people know about this content. And sharing it, if you know anybody else that enjoys NASCAR content and likes to play DraftKings or is just now getting into it, make sure you share the content with them. And good luck again this week, and we will talk to you next week. Good luck.
Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W, so got to be around at the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checkered. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby!
Hell yeah!
Proud of you there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work.
Keep putting yourself in position, we'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
Great job, guys. Excellent work, my man. Excellent work. Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. Set out with a goal and got it here, bud. Thank you very much.
Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the fastest car here, bud.
Probably killed our deal there. Just feel like I gave one away. Yeah, boys. Way to rebound. Great job.
Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend.
What a weekend. Good job. Thank you.